Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. I am so excited for this one. We're going to be looking at stress management today.
Oh, yeah.
Always a good topic. It really is. And we're using helpguide.org as our main source today. It's got a really comprehensive article on stress management, and we're hoping to pull out all the best actionable tips for our listeners.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how a lot of people view stress management as this idea of like eliminating stress,
Yeah?
becoming some kind of Zen master.
Right.
But it's really not about that.
Yeah, it's about building resilience and taking charge, not becoming immune to stress.
Exactly.
Yeah, so how do we even begin to understand our own stress?
Well, I think a good starting point is really recognizing what stresses us out in the first place.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times people kind of misidentify where that stress is actually coming from.
Okay.
They blame external factors,
Right.
when really a lot of times their habits and attitudes are the root cause.
That makes total sense. It's like blaming traffic for being late when you actually didn't manage your time very well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what can we do about that?
Well, helpguide.org suggests keeping a stress journal, which I think
Huh.
is a really great idea.
Okay.
It's like being a detective for your own stress.
Hmm.
Like what situations or thoughts trigger your stress?
Right.
How do you react both physically and emotionally?
That would be really eye-opening to look at that.
I think so.
Yeah. So once we've identified those triggers, how do we then start shifting our reactions?
Well, that's where we get into, I think, the difference between healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Okay.
We all have these kind of like go-to moves when stress hits, right?
Oh, for sure.
But some of them like emotional eating, or binge watching TV, these things that provide that temporary relief.
Right.
But ultimately, they end up kind of amplifying stress in the long run.
Totally. I think we've all been there, done that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So how do we transition to healthier ways of coping?
Well, helpguide.org introduces this really helpful framework that they call the 4 A's of stress management.
The 4 A's.
Yeah. So we have avoid, alter, adapt, and accept.
Okay, let's unpack those. So starting with avoid, what are some practical ways that we can reduce those unnecessary stressors?
Think about it this way. Are you overcommitted? Are you constantly saying yes when you really want to say no?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Learning to set boundaries and decline requests that add to your stress can be so freeing.
Yeah, that's something I definitely struggle with. I find myself agreeing to things out of obligation, even when I know that it's going to add to my plate and just make me more stressed.
Yeah, for sure. It's a common challenge.
Yeah.
Even small changes like limiting your exposure to stressful news or social media, those things can make a difference.
That's a really good point. It's about being more mindful of what we're letting into our lives physically and mentally.
Right.
Okay, so what about alter? How does that fit into the equation?
So alter is about taking charge of your communication and your behavior in situations that you can't necessarily avoid. So instead of letting frustration simmer, you can learn to express your feelings constructively, or assertively set boundaries to protect your well-being.
So, for example, if I'm constantly getting interrupted by a coworker, instead of just bottling up that annoyance, I could say, hey, I'm in the middle of something right now. Would it be possible to chat later?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's about advocating for yourself and finding healthier ways to communicate your needs.
Love it. Okay, so then we get to adapt. What about adapt?
Adapt.
What resonated with you about that one?
Well, I think adapt is all about shifting your perspective,
Okay.
right? It's about choosing to see that proverbial glass as half full rather than half empty.
Yeah.
It's about reframing challenging situations to find the silver lining.
Okay.
So for example, instead of viewing a traffic jam as a frustrating waste of time,
Right.
maybe you could reframe it as an opportunity to listen to a podcast or enjoy some quiet time.
That's a good one.
Or maybe practice gratitude for the things you do have rather than dwelling on the things you don't.
Yeah. That's a really helpful way to look at it. It seems like adapt encourages us to be more flexible and resilient when we face those challenges.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that we can't always control our circumstances,
Right.
but we can control how we choose to respond to them.
And then finally, we come to accept, which seems a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
How can accepting things help us manage our stress?
Well, I think it's about letting go of that illusion of control that we sometimes cling to.
Right.
We can't control the weather. We can't control traffic. We can't control other people's behavior.
Right.
But what we can control is our own reaction.
Hmm.
And I think when we accept that some things are simply beyond our control, we free ourselves from a lot of unnecessary stress and frustration.
It sounds like a really powerful way to find peace in the middle of chaos.
I think so too.
So mastering the 4As is only one part of the puzzle, right? What other techniques does helpguide.org highlight?
Yeah, that's right. The article goes beyond the 4As and offers additional techniques for stress management like exercise and time management,
Okay.
which you can dive into after a quick break.
Sounds good. Okay, so we've talked about the 4As, and that gives us a great framework
Yeah.
for approaching stress management. But what about, like, in those moments
Right.
when you're, like, really feeling it?
Yeah.
Like, the stress is hitting you like a tidal wave, you're stuck in traffic, you're dealing with a really frustrating colleague, or you've just had, like, a disagreement with a loved one.
Right.
What do you do in those moments to just kind of calm the storm?
Right. Well, I think that's where these quick stress relief techniques that helpguide.org talks about come in.
Okay.
And it's really fascinating how we can kind of tap into the power of our senses to create a sense of calm in the middle of chaos.
Using our senses to manage stress. That's interesting. Tell me more.
Well, think about things that bring you a sense of joy or comfort.
Okay.
Maybe it's looking at a cherished photo that evokes happy memories, or listening to your favorite uplifting music,
Okay.
savoring a piece of dark chocolate.
Mm.
Even the simple act of smelling fresh flowers or feeling the soft fur of your pet.
Right.
These things can really shift your focus and create a sense of ease.
I love that. It's like having a toolkit of mini escapes
Yeah,
that you can access anytime, anywhere.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the best part is that it's all about personalization.
Right.
Not everyone responds to the same sensory experiences in the same way.
Sure.
So pay attention to what truly soothes and calms you
Mm.
and create your own kind of personalized, quick stress relief menu.
I love that. That's a great idea. So helpguide.org also mentions relaxation techniques like yoga meditation and deep breathing. Do you think those offer a deeper level of stress management compared to those quick fixes?
Oh, absolutely. I think those quick stress relief techniques are great for in-the-moment relief.
Yeah.
But practices like yoga meditation and deep breathing, they really work on a deeper level. They help to activate the body's relaxation response and essentially hit the brakes
Okay.
on the fight or flight response that stress triggers.
So instead of just masking the symptoms,
Yeah.
they're actually helping us rewire our body's response to stress over time.
Exactly. And they can help to slow down your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, ease muscle tension.
Right.
And what's really great is that they're accessible to almost everyone.
Yeah.
You don't need any special equipment or expertise.
Sure.
There are countless free resources, online guided meditations, yoga videos,
Right.
even breathing exercises that you can do at your desk.
I'm definitely going to be looking into some of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's so inspiring to know that we have all these tools to manage our stress effectively.
Right.
But with all these different strategies and techniques, it can also feel a little bit overwhelming to know where to start.
Sure.
What advice would you give to our listener who's maybe feeling that way and trying to figure out, what their personalized stress management plan should look like?
Well, I think it goes back to that stress journal we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What patterns and themes emerge?
Yeah.
What triggers your stress most consistently?
Right.
Once you have a clear understanding of your unique stress patterns, then you can start experimenting with different techniques and see what works best for you.
So it's about becoming a scientist of our own stress.
Exactly.
Like testing hypotheses, gathering data, and fine-tuning our approach based on what we learn.
Exactly. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this.
Right.
Maybe yoga's is your thing, or maybe you find more solace in taking a long walk in nature.
Yeah.
The most important thing is to find what truly helps you feel grounded, centered, and more in control of your stress.
I love that analogy of becoming a scientist of our own stress.
Right.
It kind of takes the pressure off of having to find the perfect solution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And encourages us to really embrace the process of discovery.
Right.
This reminds me of another point that helpguide.org emphasizes, which is that stress management isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process of building healthy habits and coping mechanisms.
That's such a crucial point.
Yeah.
I think it's about creating a sustainable approach
Yeah.
that supports your well-being in the long run.
Right.
And it's okay to start small.
Yeah.
Even incorporating one or two new techniques into your life can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every step we take towards managing our stress is a step towards a healthier and happier life.
So true.
Speaking of steps, there's one final section in the article that we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
And it deals with something that's often overlooked in conversations about stress management,
Right.
which is the role of professional help.
Yes. That's right.
Right.
Sometimes stress can become so overwhelming that we need extra support
Right.
to navigate it
Yeah,
effectively.
right.
And there's absolutely no shame in seeking professional guidance.
I think there's often a stigma attached to seeking help for mental health,
Yeah,
but it's such an important step to take if you're struggling.
absolutely.
Uh,
It can actually be one of the most empowering choices that you can make.
Yeah.
Therapists, counselors,
Right.
other mental health professionals,
Right.
they're trained to help you understand and manage your stress,
Right.
develop healthy coping mechanisms, and work through any underlying issues
Yeah.
that might be contributing to your stress levels.
They can provide that safe and supportive space to
Right.
explore your challenges and develop a personalized plan for moving forward.
Exactly. And the good news is that there are so many options available these days.
That's true.
From traditional in-person therapy
Yeah.
to online platforms that can connect you with licensed therapists
Right.
from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed,
Yeah.
please don't hesitate to reach out for professional support.
It's a good reminder that we don't have to go through this alone.
Right.
There are people who care and who want to help us thrive.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into stress management,
Well, yeah.
from the 4 A's to quick stress relief techniques,
Right.
relaxation practices, the importance of seeking professional help.
Mm-hmm.
We've really explored a wide range of strategies and insights from helpguide.org.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It really has.
And I think the key takeaway here is that stress management is a multifaceted and deeply personal journey.
Yeah.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution,
Right.
but there are countless tools and resources available
For sure.
to help us navigate stress effectively
Yes.
and live more fulfilling lives.
So true. And for our listener,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with this final thought.
Okay.
As you continue your own exploration of stress management,
Mm-hmm.
remember that you are not defined by your stress.
That's right.
You are capable,
Yes.
resilient,
Mm-hmm.
and worthy of a life filled with peace, joy, and well-being.
Absolutely.
We encourage you to check out the full article on helpguide.org
Yes.
for more in-depth information and resources. And remember, every step you take towards managing your stress is a step towards a brighter
Yes.
and more empowered you.
That's right.
Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.
See you then.
So it's really reassuring to know that we have that option of professional help if things get too overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
But what about just those everyday stressors?
Right.
That we all encounter things like deadlines at work or disagreements with family.
Well, that's where I think building a personal stress management toolkit can be really helpful.
It's okay.
The beauty of kind of exploring all these different techniques
Right.
is that you can create a customized approach
Right.
that works for you.
So it's about figuring out which strategies resonate the most with us and then actually incorporating those into our daily life.
Exactly. And it might be a combination of different things.
Right.
Maybe you find that starting your day with a quick meditation helps to set a calm tone for the day.
Yeah.
Or perhaps you carve out some time in the evening
Yeah.
for yoga class
Right.
to de-stress after a long day.
I can see how having that routine, that commitment to self-care can make a huge difference.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not just about scheduling those activities,
Right.
but also being mindful of your daily habits.
Okay.
Things like getting enough sleep,
Yeah.
eating nourishing foods,
Right.
limiting caffeine and sugar.
Sure.
All of these things can contribute to your overall resilience to stress.
It's like creating that strong foundation for your well-being
Yeah,
that makes you less susceptible to those everyday stressors.
that's a great way to think about it. And remember, stress management is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah,
There will be times when you feel more stressed than others,
of course.
and that's okay.
Right.
The key is to have those tools and strategies in place to help you navigate those challenges more effectively.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrating those small wins along the way.
Okay.
Maybe you managed to say no to an extra commitment
Right.
that would have added to your stress.
Yeah.
Or you find yourself reacting more calmly to a challenging situation.
Mm.
Those are all victories worth acknowledging.
Yeah, I love that. It's about really shifting our focus from what we're not doing to what we are doing
Yeah.
to take care of ourselves.
Exactly.
So for our listener who's maybe feeling overwhelmed and not sure where to start,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give?
I would say start small.
Okay.
Choose one or two techniques that resonate with you
Right.
and begin incorporating them into your life.
Okay.
Maybe it's committing to a 5-minute breathing exercise each morning
Okay.
or scheduling a 30-minute walk in nature a couple of times a week.
So good. It's about making those small, consistent steps towards a less stressed and more fulfilling life.
Exactly. And remember, you are not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
There are countless resources available to support you, including the full article on helpguide.org that we've been exploring in this deep dive.
I feel so much more empowered after this deep dive into stress management.
Me too.
It's really inspiring to realize that we have so many tools and techniques at our disposal to navigate stress effectively.
It really is.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating exploration. Absolutely. And I hope our listener feels empowered as well. Remember, you have the power to create a life that feels less overwhelming and more in control.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We encourage you to explore helpguide.org for more in-depth information and resources. Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.
See you next time.